ad hoc meetup with Diva Labs on the 30th of June, Friday. And our next monthly roundup at the moment, we're tentatively set on the 5th of July. And for the online workshop, we're going to plan it like mid of July. And we have another like planning of Eve Penang. So it's going to be either August or September. So we can ask like, maybe we're going to ask like who is more interested to go to the event. Yeah, we're going to plan out that. And also there are 3 more announcements, which is the ad hoc and impromptu meetups that we're having recently. And as well as Malaysian IFSO and some special announcements. So as you notice, right, at the moment, we are having a lot of ad hoc meetup. And actually, it's been quite frequent, as you can see. Starting from 20th of May, we have like 5 meetups. And these meetups are at our hacker house, so it's at a smaller scale. And then I would say it is like different sessions, like a ZK study groups. Sometimes it could be a movie watch party, guest speakers, and yeah. So the next announcement is we have like some Malaysians in IFSO who had won like great prizes. So we have Chi Chuan and Chen Wenkang having second place in finance applications and impact application, and as well we have prize of the best governance app prize from the Yiddish team. I think 5 of the people. I think most of them are from APUs. So all of them are from APU. So let's give them a round of applause. Do we have some of the members here? Vincent, right? Oh. Yeah, okay. So okay, and as well as this is a fact that APU actually sponsored all 5 students to this event, and then like they also didn't let them down. They also won the biggest prize. So shout out to APU on its support to students. So next thing we have a special announcement. So you guys can see in February we had our KL mini hack, and in May we have our 30th May, and right now we are planning something similar. It's a combination of both events, and yeah, let me share it to you. So we are going to have ETH Kuala Lumpur on test this. Okay.
All right, GM everyone. It's June and it's been half the year. How have your crypto New Year resolutions turned out? What have you pledged to do different this year that made it different? Did you plan to get 100x? Did you plan to accumulate more ETH? And someone in the audience actually told me that they want to use less leverage. So I don't know what that turned out to be. Okay, it's also a throwback to ETL starting to host physical events because somewhere around last year, we had a halftime show, and that marked the comeback of ETL's physical sessions. So we had a tough 2-year COVID run, which we ran events online, we didn't stop, and eventually we came back and hosted. Was it May or June? I think it was May, right? Yeah, it should be May where we had a halftime event. So let's go on with the interesting things that have happened in June. So if we go next. Yeah, someone has to control slides. Thanks, guys. All right, so we have to open the news of June with the SEC suing both Coinbase and Binance for operating an illegal securities exchange in the US. So for everyone who's not aware, the SEC is the governing body for basically all financial activities in the US, and essentially they sent out first a suit to I think Coinbase and subsequently Binance for operating an illegal securities exchange. So if you go next, they've essentially listed next sorry. Yes, and of course, the SEC has named 68 different tokens as securities. And do some of the names sound familiar to you guys? Do you hold any of it? Yeah, so some of the popular tokens out there have been listed as securities. And essentially, any exchange in the US that lists these tokens, including Coinbase, Coinbase, Binance US, and also I think Robinhood, they would be required to either delist or face whatever charges there is from the SEC. So this is still an ongoing development, and we are still awaiting what's going to happen next. But it's not something new. Crypto tokens have been subject to securities, to being classified as securities for the longest time. Anyone remembers the case with XRP? Raise hands. Anyone remembers that? You were that OG? Yes, XRP. And also, I think at some point they tried to classify ETH as a security as well. So yeah, it's still an ongoing development, and we're going to await whatever news that comes next. All right, and more general tech news is that Reddit actually went dark for, I don't know, 2 days, and some communities is still ongoing. So by going dark, it essentially means that they lock new comments, new posts, as well as making sites read only. So this means that if you were to go to any of the crypto Reddits like ETHStaker, if you are staking, r/Bitcoin, r/cryptocurrency, you would not be able to view the communities right now unless you are already a member. So it's a bit of a trouble. Let's say if you are a staker, you can't essentially access this. And most of this was actually caused by, I think, Reddit increasing their API pricing substantially, and that caused a lot of developers to get angry. There's a lot of AMAs. So right now, a lot of online forums are actually closed, like ETHStaker, r/Bitcoin. So it encourages you to actually come to physical events like these. Yes. Next. Test. Okay, we pray that the battery works. All right, so for those of you So this one is the reverse, where they will have, let's say, 10 events. They'll all run at the same time. So there's no way that you can attend all of it and you'll be forced to choose which one you like. So it was actually a big inspiration for us. For us, we actually, ETL, we took an inspiration from Dev Connect, and we started to host sort of like concurrently running events so that you can only choose the event that you're most interested in, and you don't sort of like sit at a conference for hours and hours and hours. So Dev Connect this year is happening in Istanbul. Last year it was in Amsterdam, and this year is at Istanbul, where it's a beautiful city, beautiful, I think, coffee, beautiful sights, and of course, very importantly for Malaysians, the exchange rate is good. Okay, so it's all the incentive to try it out this year. Next. Okay, so there is also a recent grant that I want to highlight from the Ethereum Foundation. That is the Ethereum Run and Node grant. So right now, the Ethereum Foundation is offering to sponsor anyone who wants to run a node for at least, I think, 6 months, and they will I saw the 6-month opportunity. Okay, then this. So essentially, if you run a node for 2 years, they will reimburse you for the full cost of your node. So essentially, the hardware cost, let's say it's, I don't know, 1,600 ringgit, 2,000 ringgit. You can essentially apply for a grant. The Ethereum Foundation will send you the physical device, and all you have to do is keep it running for 2 years, and you get the device, no strings attached. So if you want, I didn't include the link here, but you can Google it, EF Node Grants, and you can try it out, apply for it. If you've been curious or you've joined actually the previous node workshop, I think this is a great opportunity. Next. Okay, and one awesome feature that our local-based explorer has launched, which is Etherscan. We have launched a new feature called an advanced filter. So first of all, let's have a show of hands. How many of you are devs and you use SQL? Quite a number of you. Okay. So I'm actually addressing those of you who didn't raise your hands, because this is a no-code tool. Essentially, you don't need to know SQL, and you can start to write queries and start to filter for different addresses, different transactions. This is helpful, for example, if you want to analyze exchange deposits, maybe the recent case, who is liquidating addresses, hacks such as Atomic Wallet. You can essentially use Etherscan now by just clicking drag and drop buttons. You don't need to write any code, and you can now filter for transactions. This made it quite big in crypto Twitter, so I highly recommend anyone who hasn't tried it, try it out. Next. Okay, and for local news, there are 2 NFT events upcoming this month, if I'm not mistaken, or next month. Okay, I'm not clear on the dates, but there are 2 events happening. Visit Ipoh Festival is one that's happening in Ipoh, and very nearby is actually Gen Fest, which is happening in Penang. So you can check out their websites individually for more, and if you want to attend, go ahead. And next, that's not included in the slides actually is, of course, the Malaysian team of APU won the WorldCoin grant in the recent Eat Soul. Yeah, so of course, that was something to shout at them. Some of the members are in the house, like Vincent. Where's the rest of your team? Okay, yeah, these guys here. Yeah, so another round of applause for them, guys. Yes. All right, that's the roundup for June, everyone. Thanks. Yeah, of course.
So next, we're going to have Mo from Non-Running Club to give sharing.
You need to run and get that.
I run a decentralized payment chain. I'm also chapter leader for. Okay. Okay, got it. That's a bit fiddly, isn't it? Hello. Does that work? Okay, sweet. So I'm also the chapter leader for Nouns Running Club. So before I go ahead and talk about Nouns Running Club, does everyone know, or does anyone here know what Nouns DAO is? Okay, sweet, cool. So Nouns DAO is a well-known DAO focused on open source contributions, healthy communities, those kind of things. And as an offshoot of that, we have the Nouns Running Club. So what's the running club? What's the motivation? So with crypto and Web3, there's been a stereotype around the industry that it can be somewhat destructive. It's all about partying. It's all about just making money. And the idea behind the Nouns Running Club is to kind of rehabilitate that image, get people into a healthy habit, join, create communities, build real friendships, real authentic relationships. And we launched Nouns Running Club about a month ago, and we've been growing very rapidly. We have 8 different chapters in 8 different cities, in Denver, in Tokyo, in Taiwan, in Malaysia, KL. And what I'm hoping to get from everyone here today is to participate. So why would you want to participate? Why would you want to come to a Nouns Running Club? Well, first of all, it's a great way to build a healthy habit. It's related to crypto in a way where you can join, speak to other people within the community, but do it in a way where it's non-transactional. And also, hopefully what will happen is that as the club grows, we'll be able to do more events and contribute back to the crypto community through various activities that we have planned. If you want to know more about the Nouns Running Club, feel free to give me a shout. I'll hand over my details to the team over here. We do meet once a week. So the next event is tomorrow, 8 a.m. at TDDI. What we typically do at these events is we get together, we go for a 5K run, casual run, and then we go grab food and just get to know each other. Before I end, does anyone have any questions or anything that they'd want to know? Okay. You don't need NFTs, but that's a good point. So the thing about the Nouns Running Club is that you don't need any NFTs, but we do give you NFTs. So we have a program where for every run that you come, you get an NFT drop. And then whether you come to a local chapter run, so you might do a run in Malaysia and KL, you might go to Taiwan, do a run there. We also have runs at all the major crypto events. So we'll have events at ETHCC, DevConnect. Once you collect enough of those NFTs, you get things like free merch. So we have t-shirts, we have things that we give away. And the entire thing is totally free. So again, this is done as a public good, as a way to kind of build authentic relationships. But hopefully that answers your question. Yes, you don't need NFTs, but you get NFTs anyway. Cool. Okay, great.
How they can, contact with you and join in?
Yeah, so you can hit me up on Telegram, MoTypes. You can also hit me up on Twitter, MoTypes. We have, you can also go to nouns.run. So if you go there, there's a website, all the details are there. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys maybe tomorrow. People can come down, go for a run. And I'll catch you all later. See ya.
So right now, how are we doing with time? I think we are ahead of time for like quite a bit. So we're going to split this session. So this session is going to be AI and Web3. And for those who are interested in Web3 and refugees, you can follow Sam over there. So we're going to so before that, we're going to take a group photo. I think it's best we can. But it's not connected to the screen. Cool. Sorry for some technical error. Okay. I think I have a lot of slides, so how do I should I present? This is very weird. What? Wait, I think it's loading. The present button is over. Oh, the Wi-Fi is bad. Okay. I'm gonna click a lot though. Yeah. Okay. It's still loading, you know. No, it's loading. It's loading. Huh. Yeah. Okay. It looks better. Yeah. Yep. Nothing makes sense. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Can you start? All right. Cool. Yeah. Thanks everyone coming over today. Today I'm going to share two things that is very close to my heart. Is crypto and AI. Sorry, what's the big screen here? So I think we can go next slide. I just want to do a quick intro about myself. I used to work in Gecko for a bit. I was one of the mobile dev for almost 3 years. I helped them to build a lot of products and shipping more towards the DeFi side of things. And I was involved in Kuga Gaming. I was co-founder there. What we did there is more towards a GameFi. And then slowly towards like since last year, we've been doing a lot of ventures building a lot of different products in this space. Just want to share a bit of my experience. Sorry, next slide. What I did back then when I first started, what I was doing a lot because my background is I'm an electronic engineer. I self-taught my way to build a lot of different things because my motives is that I want to automate a lot of things in my life. And I started with doing a lot of chatbot automations back then. And how it works is that I can just automate a lot of different things. For example, I want to do a SQL on-chain transactions. I don't need to share my private key to another person. I can just run it on my server. That was back then when I first started, and that's how I get my job in Gecko. I learned a lot of things when I was working there. I learned about NFT back in 2018. We built one of the NFT release and give out to all our followers. And then 2020 and 2021, we were very involved in DeFi and try out different things like yield farming. And then last year, we were involved in GameFi. And this year, I'm looking very deep into AI because this is something quite fun, at least for me, throughout this bear market. It's so boring. And I think the AI kind of was like, oh, there's something fun that you can build. So I think like two or meetups, I think I share about NFT. The other one I share about them and Switch, which is like almost 3 years ago on ETL. So it feels good to be back here today. Let's go next slide. So I just want to share a bit of my journey with AI because prior to this, I don't really have much experience with AI because it's just the entrance barrier is so high. You're gonna have a lot of problem when it comes to like preparing your own data, and then you want to do a lot of things. You don't need the GPU resources and all those different things. But with the release of GPT, everything is just so cheap. It's just like what 0.5 cents for every single thing you want to process. It's so cheap. So that's where I got involved into start a lot of ideas, and I can share with you a few things that we built. I think this is more towards my personal stuff. I like to automate a lot of things in my life, as I say. So these are just a few key things that I built. Like first, I built a Twitter summarizers. You know, like you have a very long Twitter thread, you don't want to read, and summarize it. And then when you wake up in the morning, you have more than 1,000 messages in your alpha group chats. You don't want to read, yeah, summarize it. And then if you are bored, you can play RPG games. Yeah, you can build something like that. It's simple. You can create a very interactive, like for this case, a corgi that is in a mushroom world. And then next one. This is more like an RPG game that every actions have a reactions. For example, if I very into it, I give like a very strong way of communicating. I get like a boost in the luck in that. And then the last one is how can we not miss out this AI girlfriend? Yeah. So a rejection hits different. You just feel like, oh shit, wait, oh sorry, they changed the slide a bit. So I was like, okay, yeah. So that is the last one. And then I just want to throw a question to the floor: is that what comes into your mind about AI with crypto? Because I'm not sharing about AI and crypto so far. It's just more about what things you can build in AI. So the expectation would be like, like, oh, it's like a utopia. Bitcoin can be Vitalik shaking hands with your robots, and then you can have like a humanoid that is Ethereum and AI and all together. You can do so many things. But the reality is different. Like, so this is what it feels like right now. Like, a lot of people just try to slap crypto with AI, something like that. So a few examples. So this is a very interesting one. You can see this is MacPepe. What they did is that it's a generative AI on the fly. You can just write. And I was trying this out. So it's a Pepe coding. So I expect like I'm a Pepe, then I'm just coding. This is what I get. but it's interesting to see that there's 1.65 million people that's already trying out this app out. And the minting is like more than, I think, like 50 or 100K, I lose track. But it's all on ETH chain. So there is a coin, there's an NFT, everyone is trying it. I think the space is very forgiving when they're trying out new things. It's very interesting to see like, wow, there's just so many people trying out this app. Next slide. And then there's a chatbot with AI, Imagine AI. It got the coin pumps like crazy. If you all follow this coin, what they did is that it's like a mid-journey on Discord, on Telegram. It's interesting to see they can generate a lot of NSFW art and etc. Yeah, that was their selling point, NSFW. Next slide. And then how can I not miss out meme? You have those like, drawn AI with and with Inu, drawn AI Inu coin, or like in this case, arbitrary Doge AI. Yeah, something like that. So there's just so many AI trends slapped into a coin. And lastly, how can I not miss out a stable coin with AI? I don't know why DAI need to add in AI, but yeah, next slide. So this is how I feel. It's just like, oh, blockchain, and then it's like, oh, something interesting. This year we're gonna talk about AI. Next year maybe metaverse. I don't know. This is how I feel about right now. Like a few examples, but there's a few interesting one. Next slide. So this is pseudo swap. So they created an AI salesman. So this AI salesman is very interesting. Is that it's a recommendation engine that based on a bunch of, for example, in this case, of pudgies. There's a lot of pudgies in the pool. They just suggest like, oh, this is very interesting that you should buy that. Then why? And then they can upsell you. Actually, I suggested them that they can add in based on your wallet to see like, oh, what is traits that in your wallet? For example, you own a certain kind of traits, a pattern, and then they can recommend you based on that. It's very personalized experience. And next slide. And this is the on-chain GPT, but I'm not sure whether they are prepared or not. But the idea is that every single node can be like a processor for GPT. But right now, there's none of the GPT other than OpenAI is more developer friendly because the rest is like it's very costly to run. Yeah. Next. So all in all, why we built Tatarot. So this is what we built. It was an on-chain for truth telling. I can share a little bit more, like a live demo later. Next slide. So when we were brainstorming, we were building Chasm. So this is something we've been building in the past half years. So the idea is that we want to create a decentralized ID, but to build a decentralized ID is so hard. The idea is that we want to create like using all these different prefixes, like I support, I believe, I am, and all these prefixes. You can write things that that you want to voice out. That creating this voice, people can resonate with it. They can kind of relate to it, then they can resonate. But it's just so hard to build a decentralized ID to go to market. We're having a lot of cold start problem to build up the tractions for the product. And then it's hard for users to resonate with it because there's no UGC. It's like a chicken and egg problem of your content. And then lastly is a competitive landscape. There's no clear winner in the decentralized ID space. Everyone is trying to do like Gitcoin. There's just so many people are trying to build this thing, but there's no clear winner yet in this space. So me and my co-founder, we have a brainstorming sessions. So we get involved with one of the female VCs. So we get a very different perspective. She's more from a Web2 to Web3 in between. And she explained to me like, oh, Curve, Wi-Fi, all this site is just so hard to use. It's like Windows 98. Like who the hell knows how to use it, right? It's just not user-friendly enough. So throughout the brainstorming session, we hit a few things that we key things is that actually tarot, fortune telling, and also like astrology, all these things are very interesting. There's nobody really building this thing on chain and all those things. So we feel like, oh, we should build something with tarot. Next slide. So here's a problem about GPT. So when you ask GPT, it's like, should I long Bitcoin? They always just tell you, as an AI model, I cannot do this, I cannot do that, a lot of things. So if you add in a tarot, here's the thing. They pick a card, It's called 10 of Cups. And 10 of Cups tells you that, oh, you should buy Bitcoin today. Yeah, something like that. I can do something stupid like that. So it was like, wow, it blew my mind. It's like, if you have questions in life, there's no answers. Tarot is the answer. I'm sorry. There's just so many things that you don't know what to ask. Like, should I long Bitcoin today? Nobody can tell you, but Tarot can tell you that. So I built a version 1. It's a very simple Telegram bot because I use a lot of Telegram. So I like to build a random prototype on Telegram. That was our first prototype. Like, I just asked whether this guy will route me or not. Something like that. Next slide. And then on top of that, then we brainstorm a few ideas and feel like we can build things on top of Chasm. Chasm, we have all the prefixes. So we're adding I wonder in this case. And it can generate like a very Shakespeare-like the Shakespeare-like answers for you, which is creating some kind of mystery on top of it. And then finally, we launch it this Monday. Next slide. This is our V1 of Tatarot. As you can see on the left, there's like a girl holding a dog. And the question is, I wonder Doge or Pepe, whether I want long or Doge or Pepe, something like that. So we can generate very customized art. So that is all about Tatarot, and we just launched on Linear. Last week, we got a lot of stats. Like today, I think we hit almost 50K minting on Linear testnet. We've been stress testing Linear. We've been using a lot of Infura. We almost hit the top tier on Infura, like 5 million requests is insane. Yeah. Next slide. So this is all in all about Tatarot itself, but the key message I want to bring out today, just towards the end, is that what is AI and crypto good at doing? What is product that you can create? So the first is all about personalizations. Like I shared with you all earlier about the girl holding a dog. So based on the question, it's like, should I long Pepe or Doge? You can create very customized art and very personalized. It's things this is mean for you. You can ask any questions and all the art generated is just meant for you. It's a very personalized experience. But in the past, if you want to create these kind of things, is you need to hire artists, you need to spend so much money to create, and the time is just so long. But with generative art, you can do all these things on the fly. All our response is less than 10 seconds, you can get all these things. Next slide. And then creativity. If you ask someone to create, like if you read this towards the end, everything rhymes. It's like it's near, it's from fear, yet clear, drawing near. Like everything rhymes. If you want someone to create all these things with this kind of creativity, how can you do it in less than 10 seconds? So this AI, what AI can do with GPT. And then all in all, in these two, using creativity and personalizations, that's how we can create a proper ownerships of product. Like all this NFT is very personalized, it's meant for you. It's not meant for anyone. Like I find the NFT to be valuable for me, but not for you, because it meant a lot for me. During that point of time, I can feel like, oh, this is part of my life journey. And that ties back to our chasm goal, to be honest. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, I hope you get the 3 key message. I just want to show like a live demo. Yeah. I just deployed a new server today, so I don't think there's an issue. So I don't like to do live demo because like it's very scary. So what should I ask? Any good questions?
Any questions for Prom? Yeah.
Point right now. Okay. So as you can see, like our fortune teller are doing a lot of work behind the scene. We hire a bunch of people just behind the scene just to read your questions and provide the answers. So it's gonna take some time. Let's see. So we're deploying a new chain on Linear. I'm not sure everyone tried the new ZK EVM Linear. Okay, we got our fortune judgment. Okay, let's read. So to read the fortune, you need to pay. It's on Linear, so it's quite expensive now. I think the gas is like so expensive now on Linear. No, this is Linear testnet. I'm poor, okay? It's sponsored by Linear. Thank you, Linear. Yeah, so now we got the fortune. The oracle is doing some things. And then okay, so yeah, we got our fortune. And then this is a fortune. In judgment's wake, decisions to make. Fortunes lie in the balance at stake. The future whispers secrets untold, but tread lightly, lest the truth unfold. So it's very big. It gives you a tease whether you should long or not. So yeah. But the card is good though. Like it is a judgment card. So yeah, they probably consider, but I don't know, not a financial advice. if you need more help, maybe it's just try min more cards. Yeah. So I think that's mainly it from my end. I don't think there's any other slides. Yeah, but please go try it out if you are interested to know more about tarot and fortune telling, or more just want to try out new things to see what is the possible things they can do. So here's my Twitter, and also we are hiring. We always been hiring because we want people that are interested in AI and crypto. These two very niche field. If you are interested to try new things, we like to build a lot of different things as well. Yeah, I think that's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Okay, really thanks Johnson for the presentation. Just try it out, Tatara.ai. Let's try it out, and you can get your testnet ETH, right? Yeah, percent just get yeah.
And you can farm linear for their airdrops probably on their DEX.
Yeah, you can just get some testnet ETH and just try out Tatara.ai. It's also a good chance to try out other zkVM as well. But yeah, I think just before we go for the next speaker, perhaps I just want to ask anyone have any questions about anything about Tatarot, about Johnson. Although we have a panel later, just want to ask if anyone have any question want to point out now. Probably is a good time. Anyone? 3? Okay, yeah, one question. Any reason you choose Linear for this project?
Yeah, sure. I think in general we were trying out at least 3 or 4 different chains. But I think we kind of get a launching partner as a Linear. So I think that's part of reasons why we get involved in Linear. And it's quite interesting and fun to build on new chain. It's new chain, new challenge. And then it's you had to build. You realize that things broke because it's a testnet. Things doesn't work, and then you have to build your own indexer. And I had to build my own indexer out of nowhere. Yeah. Yeah, I think overall, we got a lot of infra support. This Linear is backed by consensus. We get free infra credit. We got how XYZ a few notifications engine and all those different things. We get a lot of more tools infra support. I would say then we can do a lot of things on top of that. Yeah. Hope that answered your questions. Sorry, any questions? Okay, so the question is that if it's same question, we get different arcana. Yeah, definitely. So there's a few things, right? So in tarot, we're doing a major arcana. How tarot works is that there's I don't know 70 plus card. I forgot the exact number, but in a major arcana, it's only 21 cards. So they will get 21 different variations, and then on top of that, each questions are very unique. So we can generate different art. So you won't get the same art. Yeah, definitely. Same question, you won't get the same art. Yeah. Yeah, because everything is image generation. So image generation is using because we're using stable diffusion. So basically it's an image generation models. So all the image generator, unless it's the same seed, which is seldom happening. Yeah, I mean that's the beauty about tarot, right? So it can be very fun, very interactive, and all these things are very personalized. Sorry again. Okay. Yeah, we don't really use ZK much, but we do use a ZK EVM. So Linear is built on top of ZK EVM design. So they're gonna launch next month on mainnet. So if you ask whether we use ZK in this case, we are just using the part of the EVM technology that built by Linear using ZK EVM. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Really thanks Johnson for sharing his work with Tataro AI. Now he's also hiring as well. Just talk to him. He'll be here. And next we have our friend Henry to share about some experience he have with AI. And yeah, give me a second to set up the presentation. Yeah, so after Henry presentation, we have a panel discussion and talk. So do stay by, and we can just talk closely with all of the presenters and also other panelists. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hello. Hi guys. Good morning. Might sound a bit bit weirded out now because this one is really much more about like an outline about what I've done before. It's quite diverse as well, and in different industries, but all in AI and blockchain. And it's really kind of like a reading list to kind of like for you to ask questions to me, and then I can elaborate on more later on about which areas you are more interested in. So it might look a little bit narcissistic, but that the point is is to show you, you know, like okay, which part of the chapters you're interested in. Yeah. So I'll just go start with like about me, and touch a little bit on each area. Yeah. Yeah. So this is just chill talk. Yeah. Short on time, so I'm just gonna like breeze through most of the slides. It's very short, and then do stop me if you have any questions. It's all fine. A little bit about me currently at the moment. So my name is Henry, by the way. I'm CTO co-founder of Pacer. It's a health and happiness app, and essentially we use AI and deep learning to help you sleep better. Yeah, we can elaborate more a bit about that. This is my research thesis actually on decentralized privacy preserving optimization algorithms. And yeah, you can scan it and read it if you're interested. Yeah, it's very academic and a lot of mathematics in it. So yeah. And so yeah, I'm just going to go through a bit about my history, what I've done before. So back in 2014, I did my undergraduate in Oxford University in England, and I was doing information engineering. And information engineering there is basically a combination of software engineering, robotics, AI. And in Oxford University and Cambridge University, actually the first 2 years is general, which means that we actually had to study everything: mechanical engineering, mechanical, chemical, electrical, software, even civil engineering. And I actually wanted to be a mechanical engineer. I wanted to be like Tony Stark, basically building, like an Iron Man suit, hardware like Elon, and then found out that actually of all my papers, right, I actually got 20 or 30 marks less in mechanical paper. And okay, I'm not going to be Tony Stark, I guess. So I decided to do software and information engineering, and it turned out well because actually I was quite lucky in 2014, 15, right? Was also the time when there was the AI revolution in computer vision and CNNs, convolutional neural networks, and that was really brought up by this guy, which I didn't realize was a big deal back then. So his name is Professor Andrew Zizerman, and he's literally the guy who wrote the book, right, on computer vision. And he is a fellow of DeepMind, and he's also obviously a lecturer and researcher in Oxford University. And he's the sort of guy with like really long hair, like Einstein-like hair, and you can't see it here, right, but he always wears slippers only, everywhere, even in winter. And when he gives a lecture, right, he's always like, yeah, so today we're going to talk about optimization and so machine learning. Yeah. So really not engaging at all. And it was only after I done my research there and then I left the university and I went into industry where I realized how a big deal he was, and everybody was like, Professor Andrew Zizerman, Andrew Zizerman. And I was like, oh man, I just thought he was like some guy in slippers in the department. So yeah, he really contributed to the revolution of machine learning by the way of CNNs, convolutional neural networks, dog, cat, classifier, stuff like that. And that's actually the first, I wouldn't say the first wave. First wave was probably 1970s and 80s. The second wave was probably this. Now we are actually in the midst of the third wave, which is generative AI and representation learning, which we can talk about later. So yeah, so I did my research there in decentralized privacy preserving machine learning techniques, where we break down a very, very big problem into smaller sets of problems and then solve it to different nodes. So that's kind of like also why I was interested in decentralization and also Web3 and blockchain. This is an example of back in the day of doing research and when TensorFlow was just like maybe a year or two old. And my research thesis was basically, yeah, you can see here in the background, that's just all the mathematics, right? And I had like a whole wall full of these papers that I just like stacked together because the algorithm was so long. It was like 900 lines long, I think. So I had like probably 3x3 A4 papers to like kind of draw like how each function links to each other. And this is using TensorFlow back in the time. And then after that, after my research I did, this is a funny story about how I got in, right? So my professor was just sitting outside the lecture hall in the final lecture, and then I just went to him and say, yo bro, you look a bit sad, but it was a good lecture. And then we just started chatting, and then he said, hey, do you know that I have a company actually? My company does self-driving cars. And I pretended to not know. I was like, oh, really? That's cool. Because I actually applied to his company as an intern 2 years before and I got rejected. He didn't know. And then, so right after the research I did, joined this spin-off company. It was called Oxbotica. It's now recently rebranded to Oxa, and it's now a multi-billion-dollar unicorn. It's the biggest self-driving car company in Europe and UK and some say Europe. Yeah. And I was working on a lot of things there, mainly laser, computer vision, meaning camera, and also radar. For the camera, it was more on machine learning to detect the traffic lights and also to classify if the traffic lights are red, green, or orange. And radar to detect obstacles like cars and stuff like that, and pedestrians, yeah. So that was some time, and that's the founder and professor, and that's like, if you can see here, those are actually, you see it top down, that's like radar, and so that's actually a road, and that's actually like the bushes and trees, and those things in the yellow in the middle, those are actually cars that are detected by machine learning algorithm using radar. And this was something that was Oxford University was trying to do for the past 5 years at the time, but didn't manage to get it to work. But we did. Me and a team of interns did, actually. Not interns, like graduate students. So that was pretty cool. And one thing, that I do, right, that kind of annoys the people that I work with in my devs is that, why are you so anal about like documentation and like good coding practices and like, best practices and being clear? And it's because I think really from my training, right, if you write bad code, people die. Simple as that. Simple fact. In fact, you could die, because what we do, right, is we have these laptops, we connect it like this, right, HDMI cable to a onboard computer. So the car boot is full of like these huge servers, right? And you just literally click start, right? And your algorithm runs, and then the steering turns itself. So most of the time you'll be like, like that. And there's a really big red button, a stop button on the side of the steering wheel. So like, just to kill everything. So yeah, that was fun. And that was me giving a talk in the company about the radar neural network. And after many years, I still got my name wrong. And yeah, so I came back around COVID time and still continued working with Web3 and machine learning since. And this is just like a really breeze through like some of the things that I continued working on. Self-driving cars still, Malaysian government stuff. That was a project that I did, and still assist like pro bono basis with my friends. Kind of secret though, so I can't really like speak about it here. I've done also surveillance, machine learning surveillance. So that's like CCTV, and then you pipe that video footage to the security office, and it flags for suspicious behavior like weapons, like barang, like machetes and so on. And a lot of it is post estimation, really. And also this is kind of like my hobby and something that I like doing, which is animations. If you use Telegram and you use the animations there, it's actually based on a format called Body Movin, and that's a format that I do contribute to from a machine learning standpoint. And Telegram is used by like 5.5. The format's used by like 5.5 million users worldwide. So I'm pretty close to the team, and yeah, they're fun people. I really love them. And currently, just to touch a little bit on the things that I'm working on. So we mentioned like in Pacer, we use machine learning to help you sleep better and to live better lives. part of it is really just not gonna show everything. I'm just gonna show a diagram, because this is actually meant for non-usual audiences. So what we do is we in our app we have, this is completely optional by the way, because privacy is important. You can turn it on, and what it does is it will listen to your breathing patterns, and based on those breathing patterns, we classify your sleep quality. Yeah, and sleep quality has different meanings to it. As you sleep, you go through cycles. You go from awake to light sleep to deep sleep and REM, rapid eye movement sleep, which is actually the best, where your brain processes a lot of information through the day and discards information that is not useful. And then you go back up again from REM to deep sleep, light sleep, and then awake, and so on and so on. That's why it's called sleep cycle. And so we use AI to detect your sleep state, your sleep cycle. And yeah, this is kind of like a brief kind of architecture of how it works. So you have audio data, and audio data is never really, we don't listen to audio data. We don't spy on you in your room. It's just really converted into images first, which is why it's actually relevant to my experience before. We use audio, convert it to images. I can speak more about that. And then we do processing, and then pass it through a machine learning algorithm, and then we get like your sleep stages, and then we give you a score accordingly. So yeah, we can speak more about that later on. There's a brief idea. Okay, so I'll go to the next slide. Yeah, so I get this question a lot, right? Why come back to Malaysia, right? Because I've been working over there for quite a while. I lived there for like 6 years. I think I am really genuine in like wanting to build a tech ecosystem here, and there are reasons why I think this is the right place to be. Southeast Asia is a growing population, more people, more opportunities. Every time I come back, right after like a year of not being here, I see so many changes, and I see a lot of more activity going on, like things like this, right? It doesn't really happen much, to be honest, in England. And most people think like, oh yeah, England and Silicon Valley. I've been to Silicon Valley, and they're like, oh yeah, that's where all the shit's at, right? And I can tell you, yes and no, and yes, but not as much as you think it is. Yeah, I would say Southeast Asia is definitely more dynamic in that sense. There's a lot of world-class tech companies. You just need to know where to look. In this room, we really have CoinGecko, we have like Etherscan already, for example, right? And together these are really, really big companies that I think most people don't know are based in Malaysia, right? And that's also another misconception I think a lot of Malaysians have, right? Like, oh yeah, you as someone who does tech, right? The only place that you can go to is, say, Silicon Valley, right? I don't think that's necessarily true. And lower barrier of entry. This is actually very, very important, right? This is one of the things that really I thought about for a very long time coming back, because the things I was doing was very, very niche, very, very cutting edge, bleeding edge research, right? And very niche specific applications as well. But when you get out of that environment, right, of let's say Silicon Valley or England in this deep tech company, it does not necessarily translate to you would think, okay, I'm just going to go to, let's say, an algorithmic trading firm in London, right, or New York, work for, let's say, 5-6 years, gain all this knowledge, and then I will be able to come back to, let's say, Singapore or Hong Kong, and then start off my own algorithmic trading fund. That's not necessarily true, because you need to understand that you need a fit, right, between your skill sets, your interests, your product, and your vision with the environment that you're in. I'll give you a very simple example. There's just not enough volume, for example, or like trade or like money flowing around, even in Malaysia or like in Asia, to even justify the existence of like a big volume, high frequency trading algorithmic fund, for example. No, it's not about you not being good, but the environment just doesn't cater to that, right? And I'll give you an example as well. In Malaysia, right, most of the money that's churning around in traditional markets is sukuk, right? Is Sharia compliant securities. It's not even like stocks in the US or Malaysian bursa stocks. You know? So then, and it's controlled currency as well. So then, you need to really think hard, about how you apply your knowledge and skill sets in the right environment, right? You don't always, you need to think more than just, I want to be the best with the most skill sets and so on and so on. You need to think about how to apply it as well in the right environment. Yeah, that was like the takeaway. And it's also personal for me, right? Because I ultimately I do want to close the gap between the East and West. I think China is doing very well by itself. Southeast Asia still has some ways to go. So that it's, we really have like that capability and that leverage, right? Also in this fast changing world. So yeah, I can talk more about that, but just to keep it short, right? Main areas of interest and focus: machine learning, blockchain, creative technology, energy and space. Personally, very, very interested, but haven't really got into it for also reasons, like I say, you need to pick your battles. These are high capex, high government, high infrastructure areas. These are more software, low barriers of entry, high competition, but low barriers of entry. So, so yeah, if you guys are interested, let's meet and let's talk more. And happy to answer more questions. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Henry. And so feel free for the audience, if you have any questions, just feel free to drop to Henry. Although we have a presentation later, but regarding presentation slides, any follow-up questions, just feel free to ask. Anyone have any questions? Yes, don't feel shy. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So can you talk about more about your work in blockchain or maybe interest in any blockchain projects?
Pacer, for example, has its origins in Web3. Actually, so it's a mobile application, right, where we gamify the experience of health and happiness, right? So make it less functional, meaning, do you know Duolingo? Duolingo is an app that helps you learn languages, right? And they gamify the experience by adding streaks, giving you points and then giving you like badges, for example, right? So it's the same concept as well of gamification for you to nudge you to do something good for yourself. And those gamification elements, right, was the tokens and also tokens for loyalty points and also NFTs and for badges and also for achievements and game items, right? Currently, we haven't really deployed those contracts yet, those tokens and all those NFTs. So at the moment, technically, you're kind of completely Web2, right? But those will come, yeah, those will come for sure. And that's the thing, right, about AI and about blockchain. In my opinion, those are blockchain and AI are just tools, right? And you use those tools when it fits the purpose. You don't try to force it together. And many things can be done in Web2 without Web3. Just like how Duolingo is perfectly fine without any Web3 or blockchain elements. So for us to integrate that Web3, it really has to make sense in terms of the timing, the market, and also how does like the tokenomics and the sustainability mean, right? Yeah. So that's where Web3 is involved in. Yeah.
Does anyone have any follow-up questions? Yeah, one there.
Hi, Henry. If you don't mind, maybe you can just briefly describe your papers that you've written on decentralized privacy and machine learning, like the one you have. If you just brief summarize, because I'm just interested in how all this can come about together. Thanks.
Yeah. So the algorithm that I was working on is called OSQP. It's called operator splitting quadratic problem. Okay, maybe can I get a raise of hands? Like, how many are developers here? Okay, quite a lot actually. Okay, how many have used PyTorch or TensorFlow before? Quite a few also actually. Okay. How many of you have used like the Adam optimizer? Right, you for sure. Or any optimizer. Yeah. I mean, okay, you guys might not have realized it, but if you use PyTorch or TensorFlow and you use it for machine learning, you 100% have used an optimizer. Yeah, I'm not sure how deep I should go, but okay, so in machine learning, from a high level, basically what you're trying to do is, maybe you can sketch it out. Do we have time to sketch it out? Just like a few seconds, like a few minutes? Do you have like a marker? Do you have a marker? No marker. Okay, it's fine. Let me just go to Excalibur. Oh, you're using Excalibur. Okay, cool. Can you hold this for me?
Just slow. Yeah. But
Verbalize it, source guys. Maybe next session. If you guys are interested, you can post to them a request for a workshop. I can definitely give it. Yeah. So I'm just gonna verbalize it for you guys how machine learning works. Oh, you got marker. Perfect. Is it permanent? YOLO it. YOLO it. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, just very brief crash course on machine learning. Yeah, right. What we're trying to do, right? So like science, science is all about prediction, right? You're trying to predict something, right? So you're saying, like if if you do physics, right? F equals ma, right? Force equals mass times acceleration, right? That's basically you're trying to understand if you hit a ball at 1 Newton force, right? Then the ball of 1 kg will move by this much, right? So you're trying to predict the future, essentially. You're trying to say, if I apply an action, right, what will be the reaction in a certain time in the future? That's what science is all about, right? Predicting the future. And how we predict the future is by an equation, and an equation is what we call a model. So you can think of it as a box, and this is a model, right? I have an input, and I want an output, right? And this output is usually something in the future, and that's called prediction, right? So this is what science is all about. This is also what machine learning is all about, right? And in machine learning, how you do this, right, is by observing a lot of examples. This is called data, right? This is my input, and then I see an output, right? Is, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So based on this, if the input is this and the output is this, what's the formula here, you think? Let's say this is X, right? And this is Y, right? What's the relationship between X and Y? It's a function, yeah, but what? X plus 1. Yeah, you're correct. Exactly. So this is what modeling is all about. Basically, you see trends in the input, which is your data, your training data. You get your prediction, which is called ground truth. And then you try to find a pattern, right? A relationship between the input and output to get a model. That relationship is the model, right? And this is literally what machine learning is all about, right? So machine learning is all about finding a function of weights. And this is basically what it's all about. And how you do that is you have your inputs and your outputs, and then your model is going to give you some prediction, right? So it's going to give you like some Y. And so let's say first one, I say it's like 4. I'm just going to guess. Like the model doesn't know anything, right? It's not learning anything yet, right? So it's just going to give you some crap. And what you're doing is you say, no, that's wrong. The answer is 2. Please try again and change your prediction. So it's going to predict like 2x plus or not. It said, no, that's wrong. Do again. Try again and say wrong, all the way until it gets x plus 1. So that's literally what machine learning is all about. And this is a very long-winded way, I know, but to get there, right, to try and say you're wrong, try again, that's what the optimizer algorithm is, and that's what my work was all about. Yeah. So this is an algorithm, a machine learning algorithm, and inside the algorithm, there's another algorithm, and that's called the optimizer algorithm. Yeah, so that was what I was doing. It was very, very general, actually. So it can be applied for many, many things: machine learning, portfolio optimization, even like decentralized computing. Yeah, so very long-winded, but hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks. Really thanks, Henry, for the crash course. You know, this actually is a 1 hour YouTube course. Not joking. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Perhaps any more questions? If not, we will just jump to the panel discussion. You know, I think just leave your question to the panel discussion. If any more questions, let's talk there. Although I have a few prepared questions, but yeah, let's jump into discussion, and I'll just get a stage set up. Give me a second, okay? Yeah, just sit here. I'll sit on the end. Just three of you. I'll sit there. You guys can just sit there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yes. Is the recording on? Okay. Yeah. So we just jump into the panel session directly. I think before that, maybe there are a few just come in, and so Bernard haven't introduced himself. I just want each of you probably a 1-2 liners to introduce what you are doing and who you are. Yeah.
Oh, repeat again. Okay. Okay. Sound like more like a narcissist already. Yeah. I'm Henry. I've done machine learning and I'm currently working on a blockchain and machine learning powered health and happiness application.
Yeah, I'm Johnson. I'm a co-founder of Fuga Gaming. I think what we do previously is mainly towards GameFi, but right now we're involved a lot more towards building different products like Chasm itself, and also what I presented earlier is Tataro is their own chain fortune telling, and there's a lot more things that are coming in soon. So we are more like a venture builders. We build a lot of different products and things like that. Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Bernard. I'm from Etherscan. So I work on data and also partly AI as well. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah. Also, thanks for introducing yourself. Perhaps I think we just start with the question, right? What's your probably for Bernard directly? What's your exposure with AI or data in this industry? Like not in this industry. Basically, what's your exposure to data and AI? Maybe tell us a story how you get in love with data or AI. Joking, yeah. But yeah, just want to know about your how you get in touch with it.
I started working in this data space maybe 7-8 years ago. I used to work in an IT consulting firm. So back then, there's not term big data yet. So I worked in a telco company. So I mean, a consulting company worked in a telco company. So at that time, we started churning already hundreds of gigabytes of data, CDRs a day, and that's how I started learning about what's data and what we use with it, and then how we do churn, and yeah, slowly from that, then I work in I took a short entrepreneur's sting, and then after that, that's where I ended up in Etherscan after this. Continue on something that interests me and excites me as well, and the last 6-7 months with generative AI has opened up a lot of new opportunities, and for what we think could really improve the experience of people using our Explorer. So yeah, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Bernard, for the introduction. So I think we can just jump into the topic. I think I'll just divide this discussion with a few questions they are prepared. First thing, I just want to ask them about some AI, what AI excites them, what is few in the AI excites them, and I'll ask them about probably we'll talk about intersection between AI and crypto or blockchains. And at the end, we will just open to some topics for the open for questions for the audience. Yeah. Perhaps I just want to listen for you now, right? What are the fields within AI that excites you the most, and probably why? Yeah.
Fields in AI that excites me the most, right? Right. So yeah, so I did mention before, right? There was like a first wave of AI in like the 70s and the 80s, and then people kind of forgot about it for like 10 years. And then around like 2010s, there was another renaissance, right, where people talk about CNNs, convolutional neural networks, and then like, oh, you can classify things now. You can say you can give it an image, and then it will tell you, oh, that's a dog, that's a cat, or like, you can detect cars, you can like even crop things out now, right? That era, right, was very much powered by CNNs, convolutional neural networks. Sorry, a bit technical. In the last in COVID time, right, there was I would consider it as like a third revolution, right, where we call generative AI. I call it representation learning. And what it is, right, is generating content, like the things that you covered, right? Mid journey, stable diffusion, and then also there's LLMs, large language models, which is like ChatGPT. And the thing that I think people don't realize, right, is that representation learning and generative AI is so impactful, right, that it's going to rewrite even what we know and what we thought was the best even for the past 10, 20 years. Yeah. Which means that even the things that I've done, right, in self-driving cars, right, is going to be like obsolete soon, because it's all going to, even CNNs will be replaced, I can tell you, right? ChatGPT is powered by transformers, and transformer is a tool that will even replace CNNs, which is crazy, right? Like why would a chat AI algorithm replace like a dog and cat classifier algorithm? It's mind blowing, and I think people don't realize how big an impact OpenAI has done yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what Henry raised about classifier is quite interesting, because that is some points that I also want to talk about. I think as an engineer, I'm more like a hacker, because I like to build random products. For me, I look at things more like 2 points: a business or user experience perspective, right? So what classifier can achieve back then that you cannot achieve you can achieve today that cannot achieve back then is become very cheap. For example, I want to create like a text classifier. Let's say I want to write a very simple questions, like for example in Tarot, every single question you ask, it will be classified as certain categories. There is some hidden Easter egg inside the product itself. We can go and try out. So we classify every single question into certain categories. You can take a look. What we achieved there is that without using LLM prior to this, we had to write maybe like a very proper, prepare a lot of data model, a lot of data preparations. It's just so much cost and all those things. But right now, everything can be done in less than 0.5 cents in a business perspective. Yeah, that keeps me very excited, because everything becomes so cheap. In terms of like how much you want to build all these things, it saves so much engineering time. Like back then, you want to prepare data, you want to clean the data, you had to train the model, you had to retrain, and you need to run GPU and all these things. All this comes with cost. And for the first time, you can do it in 0.5 cents. Yeah. So that's my short things that keeps me excited. Is like things become cheaper. A lot of crazy things you can try out, can become very creative, can become very personalized kind of product. And in terms of product wise, you want to create a very personalized product. AI and GPT, all these things can comes into play. Yeah, that's it.
Personally, I'm very excited to see what are the open source models that available after GPT. So there are many parties that are also trying to build something that is cheaper to run, because with a model that is you can run on commodity hardware, it really opens up what you can do. So now English has become the new programming language per se. I mean, you still need to write in sort of a level of a pseudocode, but you, us lay people, I won't consider myself an AI expert. You can now instruct the language model to do something that not possible before within the context. So let's say you want it to be a certain classifier, you can just give it an example first, and then you feed it in with something new, and it just tell you the answer. So you don't really have to train the whole model to do certain tasks or instructions. So, but of course, currently the best model out there is still GPT 3.5 and 4. So the newer open source ones, I guess, slowly going there. And I think the next 1 to 2 years, we would really see game-changing things coming out that we can't predict. But overall, exciting time to be in. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the answer. I think generally we see a few trends, right? Like from the evolution of machine learning, from like the traditional statistical machine learning to the CNN, what you mentioned, or even now generative AI. I just want to ask because we are at ETL meetup, we're talking about blockchain and like crypto stuff here. You sound the tech that excites you the most, right? What would you excited to see between the intersection between the AI technology that you mentioned with cryptocurrencies of blockchain technologies coming in? Not necessarily to blockchains, but also for infrastructure products, right? Like for example, data aggregators or all these different things. What excites you, or what will you foresee seeing coming in that could really help to bring the experience to blockchains or crypto-related products? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the I think the right way not the right way, but the way I see it, right, is that AI is and will be so widespread that I think it will impact not every, but like most fields, right, and most things that we do. I think it will be similar to like the internet, right? The internet or like the mobile revolution, right? It's like saying, okay, how would mobile apps or how would mobile apps and smartphones change blockchain, right, for example? Well, mobile phones change everything that we do, right? From social media, from doing work, from socializing, from finance management, because everything's on the app now, right? So I think it's more like a foundation and infrastructure, you know, instead of like a specific intersection of use case between AI and blockchain. Yeah. For example, ChatGPT, like you guys say, I definitely agree, right? What took me probably usually 3 weeks or 4 weeks to just come up with a AI algorithm, machine learning algorithm. Now with ChatGPT, I can do it in like 3 days. That's like a crazy 7x improvement in efficiency, right? That's gonna impact everybody no matter what you do, blockchain or not blockchain, right? Or AI or not, right? But going back to the topic, right? I think there are two broad pillars of how AI can be impacting blockchain in general, which is the first is content creation. Content creation on the blockchain. Content creation meaning like, say NFTs, like the images, right? Stable Diffusion Journey and so on. But also something that a lot of people overlook, music as well. The thing that you see in DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, and ChatGPT for generating paragraphs and images is already there also in terms of the ability, right, for music generation and audio generation, and also audio augmentation. Actually, the part where people don't talk enough about, we have text already, ChatGPT, we have images, which is Midjourney, DALL-E. We have video as well, because images and video is similar, and music is not talked about. So content creation would definitely be impacted. NFTs will be impacted. The other big pillar, I think, right, is interpretation of data. So you have content, you have data already on the blockchain. That's basically a big database. Now you can use AI to generate automatic insights, right, and assisted queries, for example, of that data to make sense of that data, right? You can even use an AI and say, hey, dude, can you help me, not dude, hey ChatGPT or hey LLM, can you help me generate a 3D graph or a 2D graph to trace where the transaction is going to from this hack, right? Then the AI can say, yeah, sure, no problem. Here is a generated diagram of where the funds were flowing outside from Binance into so and so form mixer, right? So this we start to see this intersection between the different data types, like I say, text, image, video, and audio. But now there will be models who can, you ask it for text, it will give you image, you give it an image, you give it an audio, and give you text. Yeah. So this is what we call multimodal cross content type of AI that's going to happen. Yeah. And I think that's really going to revolutionize, data insights, data analysis on the blockchain and queries and leveraging on making sense of blockchain data. Yeah.
I think for my side, how I see things, I think I want to cover mainly about all the different data company in crypto side.
you always see a trends that are slowly going towards that. Like you can know, like if you don't know how to code Dune, um, Dune actually has, you can just use ChatGPT to write SQL, and you can execute on there. So there's a few trends is that because all this data can be put into a vector DB. I think vector DB is very powerful. Like all this big data that you had, you can just chunk it in, and then you can just write whatever queries you want. You can just chat GPT. Hey, I want to see what is the TVL of Ethereum from 2020 to 2021. It can be simple as that. And I've tried out a few couple of things that quite interesting is that you can chuck it in API docs into LangChain, and things just work, and you don't need to read an API doc, and you can just make a bunch of analysis on top of that. Yeah, I think what happened recently is that DeFi Llama itself, they launched a ChatGPT plugin. I think this is just a community created one. That's interesting because you get to do all this TBL like without using directly on coding to DeFi Llama. You just need to write what you want, and then they can query the whole database, whatever things that you want, and then present it to you. Yeah, that's just a few trends I see. Mainly, I would say it revolves around mainly on data company. I think Etherscan can share a bit more what they're doing. And then this is very interesting, at least for me to see what from the data perspective. Yeah.
Thanks. I think for sure off-chain generative content. So like what Henry mentioned, NFTs, creating new contents will be much more easier and faster. For on-chain, kind of will be a lot on like summarization, because sometimes data it can become hard to decipher, right? So like giving you one-liner insight on what's happening. Yeah, so we think that this is something that will be very helpful to a lot of people. So another example would be like finding out what this contract is about. So let's say if you found a new meme coin, you're not sure what is this, so you want to go and check the code, contract, and then sometimes you want to see like whether got blacklist or certain characteristic of that contract. Yeah, so things like that can be easily decipher or explain it to you in a lay few lines code lah. So the language model is good in certain things like repurposing the content into certain formats that you want. So like what Henry mentioned, so even in GPT, so you could actually tell it to you feed it in some data, you could then ask it to reformat it and come out any form you want, be it HTML, be it in a CSV or a JSON format that you can then repurpose it into a graph or chart. Yeah, so endless possibilities. Yeah, thank you.
Just want to add on like 1 or 2 points. I think like on top of that, there's like fraud transactions that could be very interesting, and also what else? Like classify all the transaction and all those things. Yeah.
Yeah, I really think this is the beauty of blockchains, right? Where, as you mentioned, the data infrastructure is open. You can just access data through RPC endpoint, and everyone have the transparency to access the data within a blockchain itself. And you can really extend possibilities within there. Like for example, previously, there are companies who build on top of blockchains. For example, like building on top of blockchains, they leverage AI like Nansen, right? They take all the data, they tag it well, or even they come up with some insights that you can come up with. If this is open for everyone, having a large language model that are able to understand all these different transactions, all these different wallets, you can get these insights by yourself, or even in a very cheaper way, or even reduce the entry barrier of building insights on top of blockchain data or data in general. And it is all applicable because the data infrastructure is open. And that's really the special thing that I really think that is it's very powerful, that why I think it could be more useful in here itself, in the blockchain space. Perhaps I just want to 2 more questions from my end. I want to open question for the stage, but perhaps you just want to share, your experience in building AI products or even AI Web3 products. Like, what are the challenges that you usually face, right? Before and even after LLM, like before, let's say, like information infrastructure wise, right, or even from data richness wise, or even cost wise. What are the general challenges that you face? Because we have a lot of friends here. We want to think to AI, want to start a company, just want to just prevent some red lights for them, yeah, or something like that. Just want to share any experience that you have in building AI products, or even AI and Web3, even more interesting, for example.
Oh yeah. Oh boy, where do we start, bro? Oh man, nightmares. before I make it sound like all doom and gloom, I do highly agree with what Kim said, right? The great thing about blockchain, right, is that it's open data, right, public data, and that's actually one of my biggest, like, even personal, like, insecurities of doing AI. Because for many years I was like, oh yeah, this AI thing is only just like rich companies in Western countries who can do, right? Because they have either the data or they have the money to buy the data, right? And machine learning really, a big part of it is just data and throwing money to process that data, which made me sad for quite a while, to be honest. But like you say, right, blockchain data is open, so you can actually get it, which is great. So yeah, now to the sad part of it. Even if you have data, right, to give you an example of why, for example, it's difficult and challenging, right, to do an algorithm that predicts your sleep stage, for example. So like I mentioned before, right, when you sleep, you go from like light sleep to deep sleep and then to REM sleep and then awake again, right? So you go through these different cycles, right? However, most of the time in the 8 hours of your sleep, right, you will be in light or deep sleep, right? Which means like probably 70 or 80% of the samples, right, is going to be just the same label, sleep and deep sleep and light sleep, right? So you won't have a lot of data about what does awake mean and what does rapid eye movement sleep mean, like, for example. So even if let's say you have like 1 million data points, right, 80 or 90% of it is going to be the same, which means that your algorithm, right, even though, it does this thing and it gets that X+1, right, it gets it completely correct, is still not necessarily going to be good enough because it's biased, right? Because your data is already biased. Your data is already 80% biased towards like 2 classes out of the 4 classes. So your algorithm is going to inherit that bias as well. So that's something that's very common in machine learning. The data quality, the massaging of the data. It's not just like throw that data, clean it, which is already a big pain, right? But then even after doing that, right, you're like, oh, now I have an imbalance, and then I need to like figure out how to like teach the algorithm to like put more weightage on like the samples that it sees less and put more weightage on the samples it sees less and less weightage on samples it sees more, because you want to prevent it from overfitting, which is basically rote learning. So that's part of it. Infrastructure, like you mentioned, yes, infrastructure is definitely painful. I think NVIDIA GPUs, the 4000 series is like what, 10K, I think, ringgit now. And that's only like for your development, right? If you're talking about hundreds of gigabytes of data, right, that's not going to cut it, because you need to think about bandwidth, data download and upload, right? It's going to take you already days, right, if you don't have a good internet, right? Storage is also another problem. RAM is also another problem, right? So infrastructure-wise, what I can say is you have to be resourceful and you have to think about hacks. A100 chips in AWS is around $4 per hour. Yeah. And I would highly recommend talking to the guys here, the community here, because these guys can get you the credits, right, for that. The AWS cloud credits for that. I myself, I'm happy to even assist, if you have any questions, and like you say, hey, how do I download this tool? How do I use it? I hit this roadblock, how do I solve it? And I can give you like pointers and stuff and help. So I think really tap into the community, the resources that you have, and experiment. And I think when there's a will, there's a way. Yeah. So hack it.
I think I can share a lot about infra because we got hit a lot like this week. I think like we are handling like millions of requests this week. It's insane because on Linear we are involved in part of their as a what's it called as a community partner, and then there's a lot of people trying out our apps. We're handling at peak. I think like this week, this like 4 or 5 days, we are handling like 50K users, and yeah, we try to pull down our response time below 10 seconds. It's so hard, and well, every time we have different problems. So I just share a little bit in terms of infra, how we design it. I all the pain point that we go through this week. It's a roller coaster this week. So we started launching, we tested, we have a different staging, dev, production, all these different environments. We have 3 or 4 different environments. So we're kind of prepared for the worst thing that's gonna happen. So what happened first is that our image server, we only run on 3 different instances. I think it's A10 instances. And then there's just 3. And then we hit a bottleneck on our image server. And then we had a spin out at 9, so 3 times it. And then we kind of cool a bit, and then nothing else. And then certain things that the ChatGPT rate limit. We hit a ChatGPT rate limit on our account. Then we had to round robin all the different keys and all those things. And then what happened like a few days ago is that we're using some kind of notification using Open Zeppelin Defender. There's a Sentinel services, and there's a whole XYZ, which is the notifications. Both are unreliable. Their infra are not yet ready for testnet. So I had to write my own synchronizer to sync up the blockchain state with the backend. And all this thing comes with like time and effort and cost, right? So it's quite insane in terms of infra. In terms of like, let's say talk about image generation server, it costs us probably like $10 to $20 an hour. So it's insane to scale up towards that extent to handle so much load. I think it's a good experience for us because we learn how to build a very robust backend to handle such a crazy load. And yeah, every day is just firefighting. Yeah, so it's been stressful for us. Me and Casey is here. And Vincent is here also. Like the past week, all of us are doing a lot of work. Just to fix here and there. So infra is not cheap when it comes to productions, I would say. Yeah, and be mindful about if you're using ChatGPT API, then we're thinking about rolling out of not using ChatGPT, using open source alternative. But it comes to another cost because it's running your own LLM right now. It's not cheap. it's hosting is expensive, your own LLM. So yeah, we're considering maybe trying out Azure just to use their ChatGPT service so we got more bandwidth and all those things. Yeah, so I would say that it's more towards my very hands-on experience in the past 1 week on going production. Yeah, I think that's mainly about infra for my end.
Thanks. I think I can share a bit about what I think. So I think you need to figure out like what space you want to be in now. Like, because there are some already pre-built stuff you can reuse, whether you need to retrain it, because let's say if you're doing something from scratch, right, it's very expensive exercise. You need to curate the data, you need to train it, and you need to make sure that that it's something that is usable for what you are trying to achieve. Whereas if you see that there is something already available there, and you just need to add on like maybe 10 to 20% more, and then it's something that at least usable for you to launch, then that's maybe a better alternative. So I'll give you an example. Would be like there are a lot of let's just OpenAI as an example. So you don't really have to write your own model. You can just give it context and prompts, and for it to start doing something that you, depending what product you want to build, to start using it. And a lot of things now, I think they just launch functions. You can also chain it to do other activities as well. So you have to pick your battles and see what you think fits your use case. Thanks.
Sorry, I want to add one more thing, right? I mentioned about the challenges and like you need to hack it, right? But how to hack it? I'm going to give you some examples, right? Everybody here has used CAPTCHA, right? CAPTCHA, right? I raised hands if you used CAPTCHA before. Everybody's used CAPTCHA, and in CAPTCHA, you always get like, oh, pick the image with a bus or a bicycle or like what do you call it, a crosswalk, right? Yeah, it's getting harder and harder, right? Yeah, it's getting harder and harder. Yeah, to be honest, now I just use the audio. I don't even do the visual anymore because it's so hard now, right? And do you guys know why that is there and why it's getting harder and harder? Because my previous company, the competitor is Waymo. Waymo is owned by Google, and Google basically use this CAPTCHA thing, right, to get free labeled data, right? So one of the big problems about machine learning problems, challenges, right? You have data is one thing. To have labeled data is another thing, right? And usually to label data, you get label data, you can pay companies like Scale.ai, which is a unicorn, and you pay around at $1 to $4 per image. And in a video, right, you have 20 hertz, right, which is at least like 20 images per second of the video. So you can calculate already like roughly how much money that costs, right? And that's a very big barrier of entry, right? So how do you hack it, right? For example, do the Google way. Try to find an application where people do the labeling for you to fulfill a function. So in Google's case, CAPTCHA, the fulfilling of the function is to prove that you're human, right? And the benefit from it is to get labeled data, right? So I think you always want to think about how do I get labeled data for free, right? And for what we do, we definitely do that, but not going to say here, but how. So that's how I would. That's a big suggestion that I would have, right? Try to find a way to hack it. The way you hack it is to find a function for people to crowdsource free labeled data by fulfilling a function. Yeah. And the other thing I would say is, yeah, you can use like those paid services, right? Like Google APIs, Azure APIs, and so on that we pay per call. Like what these guys say, open source alternatives are there. So Llama is a free open source version of basically GPT, LLAMA, and it was leaked by Facebook actually, and that there's articles right there. There's a very interesting article by a Google exec who say that, oh, we're screwed basically because open source is now more powerful than GPT and ChatGPT, right, and OpenAI, so I would say definitely try to start experimenting with those. And then the beauty of it is you can then retrain and fine tune those open source models with your own data and your labeled data. So find a way to get labeled data, use open source as a base, use that to retrain and refine what you have. Yeah, I would say that is really how you learn the end to end. Yeah, instead of just calling a ChatGPT.
Yeah, cool. Perhaps I think last question from my side, just a very generic question. But after that, I'll leave the floor to the audience. If any question, you can just write it down. Later you can ask our panels here, or even just share your opinions on some of the things that you have, or even like what are the ideas you have can build with Web3 AI. I think just one last thing before the audience. I see a lot of students here, or someone just a lot. We are Web3 meetup technically about Ethereum KL. Let's say someone who want to get to know more about machine learning or AI, and what are the recommended resource or route would you recommend them? Like what should you learn? What are resources? If you are dev or non-dev, like what can you do around it to learn about it and keep on track with it? Yeah.
If you're right, I subscribe to some very good newsletters, like the algorithm, for example, Chin AI, which is covering specifically AI in China, which I think a lot of people overlook because it's not translated. But Chin AI translates it. It's very great. The algorithm Chin AI. Just look at just Google like top like 5 or 10 newsletters in AI. Those are very, very good. Yeah, I have to catch up on that. I have a lot to catch up on. It's like every week there's a revolution. Like seriously. So yeah, non-dev. You might find some very difficult to follow because they're quite technical. But you pick it along the way lah. Just Google what is this term, what's transformer, what's attention, so on and so forth. Yeah, actually ChatGPT is very, very good in explaining AI. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. And if not, ask us, I guess. If you're a dev, right? To be honest, I think most of my education was from YouTube, not from university. Some lecturer from like India or something like that. And I find that very, 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 very useful for sure. I have actually a few links that I can share if people are interested. I would say YouTube it, read about it, and try it out, right? Just code it out. and you recognize that pain and suffering is normal. And it's not because you're dumb, but everybody goes through it, and take a break for like 2-3 weeks, come back to it, and then you would apparently be better. And oh, so easy because you had REM sleep and it processed in your brain while you're having REM sleep. Yeah. So I just say try it out. Yeah.
I think from my end, I think just mainly reading through like all the OpenAI documentations is very helpful. Like you read through all the different features that they have, and then just study about like chat completions. There's also what is it called? Like vectorize, like get a vector part of the data. I forgot what it's called. Yeah, there's just vectorization. There's so many things that you can take a look. I think the official docs is very helpful, and most of the LLM open source or what they are just based on that model itself. Like Llama itself is so try to create the same API layout with what ChatGPT offered, although it's not as powerful as that. And then other than that, just try to build something. I would say like when you start to build something, you can even ask ChatGPT to ask them to code for you. To be honest, you can ask them to do something simple, and then you can start somewhere from there. Just think of some pain point in life, because I solve a lot of pain point in my life. I not just on crypto. I would just solve my lunch problem even. Like sometimes I bought this from like a meal delivery company, and they don't really like extract their data, like a calorie and all those things. It's so much work. So I just write like an automation script and using ChatGPT just to automate everything. Yeah. Write smart contract. Yeah, you can. Yeah, I do use it to. So smart contract, how I use it is that I just paste some part of the code. I say, oh, can you come up with like all the test coverage that I need to do it and all those things that would documentation also as well. Yeah, I think I already got a lot of things to say. But yeah, I think on top of my head, there's just mainly on OpenAI documentation, but it just depends what you want to achieve. Because at the end of the day, OpenAI, what they did is mainly on the LLM and maybe DALL-E. DALL-E is not as powerful as any other model out there, to be honest. I tried DALL-E. I'm not a big fan. It's just not there yet. Midjourney, but Midjourney is not open source. And so yeah, I think that's mainly from my end.
You mentioned that you get into AI quite recently, actually this year and last year. And I'm a friend of you, I kind of know that. Like, what resources, to help you to understand about AI and machine learning and pick this up quickly, and able to apply to solve some of the problems that you have?
I think one thing you can do is that just use more ChatGPT. You get better in writing prompts. You can get like a lot, like you can write in perspective. It just improve your English basically. Write a better English that the computer can understand, and I think that would be a very good skill set. Because upcoming like 5-10 years is a very good skill set, because they are not just an LLM, right? They're BART, they are Bing. Everyone is trying to build their own LLM. If you're good at writing a prompt, you can really sell prompt right now as a living. Like there's prompt engineers is making like 100+ K a year, something like that. There's literally jobs like that. There's jobs at writing a good prompt. Okay. The way we write prompt in, I'm not gonna disclose what prompt we write, but the way we write prompt is different than what you expect. Like how we design all our things is kind of like our secret sauce. Like the prompt itself is a secret sauce, and nobody can know what you write about the secret sauce, but sometimes you can use that. There's a lot of vulnerability and security, but we're not covering it today. There's just prompt injection and all those things, but yeah, we're not going to cover it today. But so you can learn a lot of things. It just especially for non-dev, like you don't know how to code, you can just start by trying out to do more things with ChatGPT. If you are bored, you can just say, hey, can you write me a story and write me an RPG game? I just want to play with it. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, if I'm really bored. Yeah, that's all.
Let's say you're just starting out, and if you're deaf, maybe you can go look for this guy called Andrew Ng. Yeah, so I started like looking at his program online. There's a lot of YouTube. Then he has newer content as well on his own site, deeplearning.ai. Then you can over the weekend and find out what are the latest courses over there. And another place is Kaggle. So Google has acquired this site called Kaggle. There's a lot of content, short projects inside there which you can learn, and they also provide you with a free collab, like a notebook, a Python notebook for you to play around. So at least the fundamentals, if you really want to get your hands dirty, you can learn the fundamentals a bit from there, of the different available libraries. Let's say if you're non-dev and you want to get your hands dirty, then learning the API or learning prompting, it will be good. So there are a lot of resources out there on YouTube right now. You could even join some of the newer libraries Discord channels. So there are a few that it's quite popular right now: LangChain, Llama Index. Yeah, there are a couple lah. So you can have a look and see like what other folks are building. The Open AI Discord is a treasure trove as well. So there's a section called Prompt Library. So you can see what other folks are building there and just scroll through and have a look. If you're into image, Midjourney Discord is also good. So you can, whenever somebody, Midjourney is sort of like semi-free and paid lah. So the free one, every time somebody generates an image, right, you can see the prompt and also the image and you can learn from there. And the paid version, then they hide it. The good thing is that you can sort of learn how people design their prompts from there. And Midjourney also use it to train their models better as well. So as part of the prompt, they'll ask you like which 4 of the image is most accurate of what you're asking. So you help them relabel their data, and now it's Midjourney 5. So there are a lot of other newer ones as well lah. Yeah, thanks.
I'm just gonna briefly also add on to that. Very very good points, right? Google Colab is a free. Yeah, if you don't have GPU, right, use Google Colab. But because it's free, so it's like a free GPU. The only downside is that it's like an on-demand spot thing, where meaning like you have a shared pool of GPU, and then if nobody's using it, then you can use it. But if somebody takes it away, then it might kill your algorithm halfway through. Yeah, but it's free lah. Okay, so Google Colab, yeah, for sure. One more thing is Hugging Face. Hugging Face is like a platform where people post a lot of pre-trained models already. So you can check out, oh, what model I want. Kaggle is also very good. Like say they run competitions in data as well. Just if you need data, just literally go search free data for XYZ use. One more thing, yeah. ChatGPT is actually extremely good at explaining AI. I actually use it a lot for learning AI. Like I would say, hey ChatGPT, please explain to me what an autoencoder is, right? Or hey ChatGPT, you paste and code. You paste like a code block and then you say, please explain this to me, right? Oh, it does it very, very well. I don't know if it's optimized to teach AI or not, but suspiciously well. You say, yeah, you mentioned prompts, right? There are also prompts out there. So like to use ChatGPT, right, it's like knowing how to Google, right? The more accurate your queries are, the more accurate the answer is. So the query is called a prompt, right? And they're actually in GitHub even there's like prompt free open source prompts, which so you would say something like, hey ChatGPT, hey ChatGPT, please act as a Linux terminal and give me a command for so and so on. Or you can say, hey ChatGPT, please act as a salesman and give me a paragraph for so and so on. So you need to tell it what to do to give it context. So that's what prompting is. So there is open source GitHub prompts already. But if you're lazy, there's now AI to generate prompts for you. It's called AutoGPT. So you can check it out. Yeah, it's crazy.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's all for my question, and thanks for adding all the points. I think probably just to add a few from my end. I was an AI practitioner, but my degree is about learning more about AI. But I think deep learning AI is a very good one, especially for developers or anyone. They have deep learning AI, which is by Papa Andrew Ng. They call it Andrew Ng, which is the Papa in the AI space. You don't think about the cost is just for developers. They have a lot of different tiers of cost. AI for business, AI for beginners, AI for anyone. So like basics of machine learning AI. I think maybe it could be an interesting point if you want to learn about it, right? Because even if you are not a technical person, there will still be space for you in the AI space. Or even for you as a Web3 person, there are still opportunity for you to solve some of your problems through machine learning or AI. It could be as well. Although it might sound like a buzzword, I don't agree on like solving all the problems through AI. Like anything, put AI in, not the thing. Something you can solve with heuristics, you can solve with statistical solution, or just an if-else condition, right? It works as well. But also just I think it's just a knowledge point that can help you to solve some problems in life, for the business problem, etc. Deep learning AI is a good one. And thanks for them for answering some of my questions. I will open questions to the floor. If you have any questions, just raise your hand, ask questions. Sorry, I think there first. Sorry.
I
want to know how actually AI serves to crypto, because the whole idea is actually using blockchain as a payment method to provide a service based on AI. I want to know how actually AI can serve to crypto, what AI can offer, like a stable coin based on AI that you mentioned in your presentation. I want to know how it works and if you have information. Can you release it?
Yeah. Perhaps I can add on to one point. So DAI have this the end game roadmap where at some point they want to include AI tools to manage their DAO. Okay, but no clear defined yet. It's like phase 3 or phase 4. No one know how it works. But it's interesting fact where he's trying to do that. But although DAI is not doing well now, arguably. But yeah, that's the thing there. But yeah, perhaps anyone want to pick up the question how AI can contribute to the crypto as a payment gateway, open source, not open. It's open payment gateway for everyone. About it, I have some points to add later. But yeah, you guys first.
I mean, this is my personal take. I feel like AI right now is still at a very early stage when it comes to dealing like things like crypto payment or what. I don't think it's robust enough that they can create a result that are good enough that you can 100% trust sometimes when it comes to payment or what. I mean, that's my opinion. But it's very good at pattern tracing and all those things. But because if you develop things with LM, sometimes you try out, you get a different result. Like not things that you expected. It's very hard to catch that like maybe there's just like 5% chance of error that I don't think is a good idea to integrate it with payment yet at this stage of how I feel. Yeah, I think that is a very shortened answer. Yeah, how I feel.
Just quickly, right? There are some protocols out there who are kind of like about, like for example, there's like some healthcare companies that do like sharing of data and you pay through crypto, yeah, something like that, yeah. So it's kind of like IPFS, right? Where you say I store data and then thank you for storing my data and for an infrastructure. Here's Filecoin, right? For example. So there are protocols out there that's like, okay, sharing of data for AI and then we pay with that coin. So that's kind of that. I can also think like maybe like you mentioned DAI. I could be completely wrong here, right? But in terms of like rebalancing stuff, be it portfolio or liquidity or like ratios and stuff like that, there could be some AI there, right? That can take different data sources, try to like do insights and then make the decision on how to rebalance and auto manage like those funds and those ratios, right? Yeah, but yeah, what Johnson says is definitely correct, right? I don't think we're there yet where humans trust AI to make critical decisions in like healthcare and payments. At most, usually you use AI to like filter or like flag certain things that you want to pay attention to, like this could be a fraud, and then only a human comes in and makes that decision.
Sorry, I'm trying to understand your question. So it's party A sent to party B, right? And how AI can help this payment gateway. Yeah, I think a lot of traditional finance has tried to do a lot of things like fraud, managing treasury, looking at or predicting a lot of patterns lah. So I think maybe a lot of it already has been maybe in traditional finance that maybe can be applied to blockchain payment lah. But it's something that is possible lah. But I think it's some players already start providing such services as well.
I just want to add on one point, and I think it's very interesting. And just add on this point here. Perhaps it could be a discussion point future. I was pretty looking into something called intent-based architecture, where they try to, in some way, change the architecture of blockchains from transactions to intent. Transaction is basically numbers. It's just blockchain transactions. You send to the EVM process it. Intent-based architecture want to change it in a way that it fits the user intent. No matter you want to send funds from A to B, B to A, you just the architecture are able to cater towards your intent, what you want, right? So, but to understand what you want, there could be some elements there, right? For example, you want to swap your assets from ETH to USDC, and you want to prevent slippage. You want to find the best way in order to gain the maximum to reduce the slippage or get the maximum amount, right? Then how can you do that? So intent-based architecture is something that they want to try to resolve. It involves a lot of part, including MVV, etc., revolutionize transaction. But I think there could be a big part playing around here to make sure that it could fit, understand users' intent, and able to make sure that all the transactions made, etc., are actually matching to users' intent. I think it's an interesting space to talk about. Perhaps in future meetups we might talk about intent-based architecture, but open for a discussion. Yeah.
Hi, thanks. I have a question for Johnson. So one thing I really enjoy about Tataro, right, is that not only it creates a unique picture, AI generated, but you guys managed to get the style very consistent, unique and consistent. How did you do that? Because I've been trying to use Midjourney to do Pudgy Penguin images and I couldn't get it to do consistent stuff.
Thanks for being a user of Tataro. Yeah, I think good questions. How we manage to create consistency and all those things. So what we design is that partly using prompt. So it's like any question you ask us, we'll craft it in a way that we generate the prompt for our AI image servers. In this case, we're using Stable Diffusions. We generate in that style, and we also train our Stable Diffusion to be a certain style. So even like you ask things like, let's say you put a penguin inside the prompt, then the prompt will come out with a penguin. Yeah, something along that line. Yeah. Hope that answers your questions about how we generate a consistency of that particular image styles. Yeah.
Cool. It's happy to see that the community is supporting the community with the products that they build, and this is really a meaning of community. Perhaps anyone have any more questions? One or two more. One. Sorry, that's.
Yeah, hi Rachel here. I just want to ask, right, like, so in terms of like as AI is like growing, so in my opinion, I think like truth is sort of getting distorted because AI is like generative content, right? So how do you tell like what is truth and not truth anymore? And also like how does Web3 actually helps or actually like benefits or actually provide more cons for it because it's like public?
So actually, a very interesting point. In one of I can't remember which newsletter, that I read a few weeks ago. There was actually a very new paper that was published, a research paper that was published that said something like AI is able to discern if a content is generated by AI and the accuracy is like above 70%, something like that. So you actually have AI fighting each other, right, essentially, and that's called adversarial neural networks. So that's one way, right? You train an AI to recognize what is AI generated content. That's research field, and there is obviously a lot of a lot of tension, right, between the content creators, be it writers or like artists and so on. My friends are artists, right? Close friends, right? And there's also fields. Obviously, regulation is one of it, right? People are figuring out how to regulate it. But also, there are situations where people sort of like embed like a watermark in the content that is able to show you that this was AI generated. Right? So yeah, research is there. There's like watermark, which is like commercial kind of thing, and regulation that enforces that as well. So at the moment, it's still definitely advancing. There's no conclusion yet, but what I have to say is that people are working very, very hard to ensure that it's fine. And an anecdote I would say is similar to back in the day, right, when there's a lot of pirated music and like and film, and people kind of navigated their way around it, right, by protecting copyrights and also by invention of like iTunes, for example, by lowering the cost of content by increasing distribution. Right? So business models, regulation, research, and commercial they're all working together towards this, but there's no definite answer yet, I would say.
I think just wanted to get a question right. So she's asking about GPT, whether the source of truth are correct or like, right, something along that line, right? Yeah. Yeah. Got it. I still can't think of how Web3 can come soon. Maybe, it, yeah, that part is a bit tricky. I would say we need to see how it develops, but I think it's all about I think like because at the end LM is just a chat completion, so I just try to if you use ChatGPT, they just try to force themselves to answer your question. Just like whatever question you ask, then they'll just try to force to create answers. So sometimes the answer can be hallucinated. We use the word hallucinations. And how do you resolve that? I think one thing is always fact check whether this things is correct or not. But if you want to design things that are more, that's why I say like you want to understand whether the output is correct or not. You have to train and make sure that a lot of testing being done to make sure that it's safe for anything that you want to achieve lah. I mean, that's how I look at things. But if just day-to-day use, you just need to fact check everything. I think one thing interesting about how Bing and Bard they are doing is that because they have all the they got all the search engine integrated, then they know where is the source of truth. Then you can kind of see how they do it lah. Yeah, I think that was how I feel about it.
I think this has been an ongoing problem even before generative models appeared. So like, somebody used to take like 20 people to create an army of Twitter bots, but now maybe you just need one guy and he can run the show. So it's not an easy problem to solve. I guess it's a mix of making sure building authoritative, checking your facts, and also partly regulations based on by the policymakers lah. But it's not. I think nobody has solved it or a single solution to see how you can make this go away lah. So it's ongoing problem lah.
Yeah, in some way, yes, but I think like certain facts could be a interesting one. Let's say just brainstorm a bit. I think it'd be interesting. Perhaps to ensure like originality of certain copyrights, or let's say prompt can be a copyrights. How can you ensure that this prompt is originated by you, or others want to reference your prompt? How can you have a source of truth other than patenting, which is controlled by a centralized entity? You can have an NFT platform to able to issue a token for the prompts that you generate, right? For example, something like that could happen as well, just to brainstorm a bit. But yeah, perhaps the last one or two questions.
So there are quite a few projects like working on ZKML to bring AI on chain. So I really wonder, like, what's your thoughts about both the opportunities and also the challenges in this field? Thanks.
ZKML, it's time now. It's a hard topic. My brain is too small. Yeah, I think very interesting about ZK itself is I think like in neural network there's like a tree node, and ZK also some kind of design that towards that. So it's quite interesting how you can merge both things together. But I really didn't go deep into that because I can share a little bit what I built towards one of the hackathon recently. So I think it was April. Yeah, I was in Tokyo. I was involved with one of the guy, very interesting guy. He designed and built the whole tornado cache ideas with I'm not sure is it called ZKML or what, but it's built on top of the ZK what is it called? Yeah, it's Hello too, but I mean the circuit language. It's also Circom. Sorry, Circom. Yeah, Circom. So what that then I was helping him out on mainly on the front end with pitch and all those things. So we are trying to develop a tornado with cache kind of concepts, but built on top of a tornado cache to do a V3. So what I did is that we adding but it is not about ML, but this is my experience with ZK more towards that end. But it's like we trying to build a ZK AMM. Yeah. So every single transactions, instead of like deposit a single asset like ETH in or USDT a particular pool, but you can make it like a swap in between. So all the X times Y equal K can be done inside that particular ZK itself. We don't really use much ML, but this is just like a first step to know all these things. But what we can implement ZKML into it is that we can detect whether this person are fraudulent or not on chain. It could be a few ways. One is using like WorldCoin
iris as a method, or can use identity, like for example using what's the Polygon one that lens protocol, no lens protocol, and all those things. I think this is a little bit of ML on top of it that you can write a simple machine learning algorithm to detect fraudulent. That could be one way to don't allow like people that are possible fraudulent to deposit into the pool. Yeah, I think that is my small experience a little bit, but not very deep because my brain is too small again. I cannot understand ZK and ML is just too very deep technology. Tech itself is very hard to understand. Yeah.
I'm not really familiar, but I'm not sure how many projects are working on this. But I would think it's going to be an expensive exercise, yeah, to do this at this point.
Just on fact, right? A few days ago, I think last week, we have a session with the PSC, the Privacy and Scaling team from Ethereum. There's one researcher who is researching about ZKML. Basically, we have it on our YouTube channel, so you can look into it. We will mostly upload it soon. About ZKML. So it's basically putting zero knowledge and ML together. I think at some point it's interesting is that every time if you have a training of machine learning model, you need the data to be transparent, right? If you are able to hide a certain level of data to ensure privacy, but you still can get the results, for example, the labeled data through, like for example, this guy, you don't need to know his age, you don't need to know whether he's male, but I have a zero knowledge certificate that prove that he's a male with his height. I didn't need to review whether his identity card or something like that. So you still can ensure a certain level of privacy of information, but still able to get the source of data that are required to train a model to make a heuristic prediction. So something like that could happen, but I'm not an expert as well. We have a few community members that built, I think, ZKML projects during hackathons. It's like the one which we mentioned earlier, like Sichuan and Wen Kang, they built in the If So hackathon. But unfortunately, they are not here today. They are at other conference. They are just jumping over conference. Yeah, Vietnam. But perhaps it could be a good discussion point if you'd like to talk more about it. You can just ask in the Telegram group. If you're not in, just talk to me. I'll add you in. And yeah, perhaps I will wrap this up here today. Give me a second. So really thanks to all the panels here to share some of their experience and some thoughts about AI and Web3 and how the synergy between them, especially they bring their background from AI side to Web3, or even some of them they build on Web3 and they learn about AI to see how they can complement their expertise and products. And that's always a fascinating thing to see the interoperability between the knowledge and so cross-function between two different domains to build solutions that could solve a particular problem. And that's the meaning about building solutions and techs. Really thanks to Henry, thanks to Johnson, thanks to Bernard for sharing this. Perhaps I think before we leave, we also have one more thing, right? I think our organizer, perhaps Harif from Etherscan, they are releasing a product related to ML AI, and he asked me to give you a demo to show a bit, right? So if next time you have any products or something you could be in the community, you like to share with the community, do contact me, right? And see whether we can share your projects and your product community and see how we can support each other within the local community. And this is the meaning about communities. 1 second. So yeah, so I think Etherscan released their own product called Code Reader. So I think you put your API key, what the contract does, and you can ask what contract do, what's the purpose of this overall statement, and perhaps it can give you then it will give you then it will give you what actually this contract does lah. Like for example, this is a Tether contract, token implementation, how we do, and what are the implementation of this contract. So people who are not able to read smart contract, token smart contract or any smart contract, you can decode it through natural language model using this thing. Perhaps anyone in the Etherscan team want to add on more to this?
I'm seeing it for the first time. I've heard Bernard working on it, so this is interesting.
So basically, the motivation we built this is because we wanted to see an easier way for users like you, to have a summarize what the contract is doing, and sometimes you see a new contract is interesting, then you want to find out. You start by asking what is contract, find out what's the function, and after that try to find out what, give you an example of it, of this. So do watch out on our Twitter, and once we launch, then love to hear what everybody thinks and see what you how you use it, or any use case or any feedbacks that you have, and yeah.
Thanks for Bernard to adding more context for this. So it is building a product about this code reader. It's very interesting. It's always good use case about you leveraging technology to solve the problem that you have, right? And this is always a beauty. Everyone can come up with an idea, and since the entry level of building a product is much lower now, and building a solution, you can just have an assistant to help you to develop, to train you to acquire the necessary skills to build a product. I think it's really a time everyone can be a solo product builder in some way. Yeah, and thanks for everyone joining today. So we have some pizza ready for lunch. I'm not sure whether it's enough. So just go out and make a U-turn. We have some pizzas ready there. And just to announce also, we have our next meetup, Scroll M1 meetup next Saturday in our hacker house. We have online session with Diva Labs soon. So Diva Labs is basically a DVT, distributed validated, LSD project who want to build distributed validated technologies. And we might have some exciting news there in terms of something interesting. And also the next monthly meetup or roundup, most likely will be early July. So should be around somewhere area. And wish to see you guys there again. So these are some of the updates on VKL. And just enjoy our food. We have some food there. And last thing, another final thing. Just want to share a little bit again. We are trying to organize the Ethereum Kuala Lumpur 2023. It's organized fully by the Ethereum KL team as a non-profit. And the aim is really to want to prove that Malaysia, we have a strong Ethereum community, and that's why we are here being a community. From last year when we revived this, only 20, 30 participants. And for the last meetup, we get around 200 participants. And moving on, we try to onboard more and more people into Web3, into Ethereum technologies. And that's basically about us. And just enjoy your food. Thank you. Yeah, just go hack.ifkl.org. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, just head out and make a turn.